everyone, and welcome once again to another Wednesday night right here at the Sports Crib. Let's get our little commercial stuff out of the way here. As you can see on the bottom, you can subscribe and donate on YouTube to our Cash App, $JE King 3, and all proceeds go to the Sports Crib Network and the different prizes and things that we offer during our contest, as well as the content. So, with that being said, I see we have Dave here. Dave, how you doing tonight? Let me get you up here.
Hey, there you are, James. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing all right. Best I can say, nice day out here in California, so it's not raining. Contrary to what people think by the song, it does rain out here. Matter of fact, we have mudslides sometimes. Not in my area, of course, but yeah. Demetrius, how you doing? Long time no see, my friend.
Gentlemen, we got a week off where we're not traveling. I had to get with my guys. The best week of the year, quite frankly, in football. I love it. So good to be here. Mr. Johnson here. Good to see you, Reggie.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here, guys, especially on a day like today, man. I'm glad I was able to join you guys for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, today, we aren't going to delve into a lot of topics. As you can see, it's all about free agency, except for this one little question that I kind of snuck in. And I know this is not the political show. It's not my political show. I do have one, but this is not it. But this actually came up under, I believe it was ESPN Sports, and it came out under NCAA football. So I kind of thought it was interesting. Considering some of the things that come out of Florida nowadays. So I thought this was a very interesting question, and Bo's not going to be here, and unfortunately Bill's not going to be here, so we won't have a
more time for me. Yes.
Congressional debate here. Okay. So it goes like this. The NCAA asked black student athletes to reconsider Florida colleges.
Hold on. Sorry. You said the NCAA, and I think you mean the NAACP. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure we clear that up right off the top.
The
NAACP. Yeah, NAACP. Right there.
Slightly different organization.
Slightly different. I won't go, we'll talk about the NAACP at another time, but right now we're going to talk about their stance on Florida. So last year, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill that prohibits the use of state funds for any DIE, which is diversion, equity, and inclusion programs. Demetrius, I believe you go all around the world talking about this, don't you?
Yes, sir. I've been on your social consciousness podcast, and this is a element of what I do in real life. I won't go too far off the rails. You can probably figure out where I stand on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not hard, but I think I'm going to take a different approach. Individuals, no matter who you are, where you live, where you're from. I tell people that with all the problems we have in our country, this is the greatest country in the world by far. I've been to 14 nations in the world. I've been blessed in my job to be able to go to a lot of places. It's not even close, guys. Almost everywhere I've ever been, they want to be here for a couple of reasons. The chief being, without sounding pretentious, we have in this country the opportunity to impact our condition. There are countries where people do not have a mechanism or a way at all to ever impact their condition. They're born where they're born. That's their life done. We have that. We have it in our ability to vote. We have it in our rights, our ability to protest. We have the ability to change our condition. And despite what people think we are right now, still by far, they all want to be us. So I say all that to say this. If you live in Florida and you are a certain person of a certain color, of a certain sensibility, you can do something to change this. Now, if you don't, cool. Don't bitch about it, because that's what I don't do. If you don't do anything, don't say anything. But in this country, when we see something that we think is unjust, no matter who you are, what color you are, whether it was your ancestors 270 years ago or your ancestors 70 years ago, whenever we have the ability to change our condition. My feeling about this is predictably Florida being Florida. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to take it's Florida being Florida. But this, to get back to your topic, is a mechanism to change it. If you truly believe and you are passionate about this, this is an easy fix. This is a real easy fix. And what they're recommending impacts this just like that. Just like that. You change people's minds, you get people to see things, because what we often suffer from, it's not that people are horrible human beings. It is that some people struggle with perspectives that are not theirs. When they have to go outside of themselves and the small group of people in the world that they care about and give a damn about somebody you don't know. Give a damn about how laws and things that are implemented affect other people that you don't know. That's what we've gotten bad at. That's what we don't do well anymore. And I think this is one of those that I live 1,200 miles away from this. You couldn't pay me to live in Florida. I go to Florida for two reasons: Mickey Mouse and to get on cruise ships. Those are only two reasons I go to Florida. This is a big deal. And if I could, from where I am, impact it, I would. This is just on people, do the right thing. Whether you're impacted or not, if you have the ability to impact this. Now, if you agree with it, cool. You have your right. You do nothing. If you don't agree with it, you live in the United States of America. You can impact change. We have that ability. And it's sorry, I went on long. This is, like I said, it's kind of part of what I do, kind of in my wheelhouse. And I've been on his social unconsciousness podcast. We all should do it. We all should get that experience. And like I said, I went Bill Carroll on y'all there, but it is something that I am passionate about.
Dave, what's your perspective on this?
This is a tough one because I have a different perspective.
That's why we're all here.
One is, I'm assuming he's Florida colleges. What about the 4 HBCUs? So I'm assuming that the NAACP is talking about the Florida State University program.
Yeah,
and that's the
University of
University of Florida.
Well, there's a system. I think that they have 8 or 9 universities.
There's
in
a bunch
Florida
of schools
State
in that system.
University system. Because if you say don't go to school in Florida, well, for example, the 4 HBCUs, and I'm sure that the NAACP isn't encouraging that.
Well, this is directed at Black student athletes.
Well, I mean,
even at the HBCUs,
they play at Bethune. Yeah. They play at Florida A&M.
Okay.
Black student athletes play at Bethune-Cookman. And there's a lot of private universities in Florida.
I think it's schools in Florida that get state money.
Yeah, it's only the school.
The schools that get state funding is what
because it said that they eliminated the Office of Chief Diversity.
Yep.
They eliminated 13 full-time positions and 15 administrative appointments, and halted all DIE.
That was specifically at the University of Florida.
So I think that's one university, and the HBCUs get both state and federal funds. They do get money from the state of Florida. They do get money from the federal government. In fact, President Trump, I think for the first time, prior President Trump had given HBCUs multi-year monies, because in the past, the presidents would have them come up every year, kind of hat in hand, saying, hey, we need more money from the federal government. And Trump kind of did this in a multi-year thing, so that they didn't have to keep coming back year after year. But I mean, I guess for me, and I would have to learn more about the situation because I don't know what that particular program was doing. I don't know, were they teaching classes? Were they, enforcing some type of codes within the university? I would have to know more about it.
Basically, what it was, these were classes, that were taught within the university about, such as, for instance, Black history. And according to DeSantis, these are things that are not important enough for people to teach.
So you're saying that they're eliminating Black history from their curriculum?
They already have.
I would be shocked if that were the case. If that's the case, then I would, of course, be against it. And I think the difficulty is that we often jump on these things that we become emotional. And as soon as we hear diversity, equity, and inclusion, I agree with all of those. But the devil's in the details. And sometimes, what's happening, if, for example, Asian students wanting to go to Harvard, they're being discriminated against. And so they're getting smacked down because of some of these programs such as this. And so then we're getting away from the, basically who's the best qualified for the position. And so then you kind of can go down that road. Now, on the other hand, if they're saying that, hey, they were eliminating Black history courses, they're not teaching the history of the country as it pertains to slavery and stuff like that, well, then I would say that it's wrong. But I would want to learn more because I'm not sure that that's the case. And the other thing is, the irony is that the African Americans are actually underrepresented in Florida state schools. And so the irony in this, if these student athletes were to listen to the NAACP, is then the underrepresentation would become even more. Because I looked up, these schools are all required to report their diversity enrollment. It's a federal requirement that they send up a report every year. And I think that a couple schools that I looked at within the Florida state system only had 5% representation of African Americans, which I think is well under the what the population is within Florida. And so the irony is, if they were to all of a sudden not go to those schools, well, then there would be even more underrepresentation by that group.
And that's good. Do you believe that a school completely eliminating a diversity department doesn't have an impact on minority students? If we stay very high level, that's what we're talking about. A school eliminating an entire diversity department, but the people who are most impacted by the diversity department, if we want to get granular and talk about the courses and all the different things that a diversity department does, we can. I don't want to bore you guys.
My answer to you is it depends. If on the one hand, it depends. If on the one hand, this was a department that was delivering 100, 200, 300, 400 level courses as part of the curriculum, and if they're eliminating that, then I would say, yeah, that would definitely have an impact. On the other hand, if these are administrative positions, where they're basically, colleges are famously, their tail to head ratio is really, really bad when you compare it to administrative staff to professors. If these are more administrative staff, no, I don't think it would.
So you think there's an entire department that offers no value to the university? They're just symbolic positions. I know. All right.
Sure. All right. There's probably plenty of if you go to any university, there's probably a number of departments that you could eliminate, and you're not necessarily going to impact the enrollment at the school.
Okay.
Dave, here's a state that says that slavery actually taught individuals how to be craftsmen, and slavery was actually a good thing for the people that
That's their
involved.
curriculum.
That's the reason why the part of the reason why these diversity administration were eliminated, because that's what is now banned. There are certain books and things that are banned in Florida. But Reggie, we've like forgotten about you here. What's your thought?
Yeah, that's my bad, Reg. My bad, Reg. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Reg. What's your thoughts on this?
It's a question. I feel like these are emotionally charged questions. I'm not really a super fan of these questions in this context because it's emotionally charged issues, especially when you're talking about Florida in of itself and who the governor of Florida is. Emotionally charged guy, just ran for president, just got out of the race. I'm no huge fan of DeSantis. I think that one of the biggest issues is when discussing issues of this nature, people are automatically, let's say that you have somebody who opposes these programs, they're automatically going to be labeled a racist. So people don't want to come out and say they oppose it, but they might have legitimate reasons that they actually oppose it. So it can lead, you don't really get real, genuine intellectual discourse and discussion about these issues because they're so emotionally charged, especially when if you're a Republican, maybe you're just rubber stamping everything DeSantis is doing without even looking at the details. You're just going to rubber stamp it, whatever the R guy says. And if you're a Democrat, whatever the Democrat guy says. I feel like there's these kinds of issues that are very politically charged on both sides of the aisles that if people had took more time to look at the nitty gritty of the details, they might agree or disagree. You know what I mean? And they might move one person to the other side on one side or the other. But I think people are so scared of being labeled a bigot that you don't want to say anything. You don't want to speak. You just don't want to speak on it because you're like, I don't want to be considered a racist just if I don't agree with it. And, me personally, I'm just no fan of DeSantis, so it's easy for me to root against the guy. You know what I mean? It's easy for me to. I don't really care what he does. You know what I mean? I'm just not a fan of the guy. I'm not a fan of the things that the way that he's running the state. But I don't live in Florida. I don't really get a vote. You know what I mean? I don't have to like the guy. It's the people that are there. And I feel like if this is such a huge issue in Florida, Florida's going to have to take care of it. There's nothing that we can do. There's no conversation we can have to change laws, and we can guilt you into feeling one way or the other. But what DeSantis was very smart is he got a lot of black people to write these things. So when the issue is when he gets in trouble, he can bring the guy up there and say, "Hey, look, I didn't write it. Here's a black guy right here. He's the one who wrote it. He's the author." So it's politically smart. But at the end of the day, I definitely would. I feel like we could do a "What the hell is going on in Florida" show every week. And we would have no shortage of content, even outside of the political. I don't know if you guys heard of Florida Man. Outside of political, just Florida in general. Yeah, we can do shows on Florida every single week.
Funny. I never thought of moving to Florida when I got to retirement age. I changed.
Florida's got some nice beaches, man. I just got to get up out of there. Like, but it's hey, I'll come to Florida. I just don't want to live there. But I would
places you visit and places you live.
yeah. But if you're conservative, you might feel like this is the place I need to go. If you're,
I don't have anything against
on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, hey, man. Florida's a place we need to get down to. So different strokes for different folks, you know?
Yeah.
I would never want to live in Florida, but it doesn't have anything to do with who the governor is. It's just, to me, it's a boring place. It's a
really versus Pittsburgh. So you like Pennsylvania better. You like Pittsburgh.
Oh
better.
yeah.
Well, I take Pennsylvania over Florida 100 times out of 100.
I mean, there's nothing to Florida.
Florida's got two jobs. Making my cruise ships. I'm telling you.
Hold it now.
Florida, man, getting remember all the time, man. Florida.
Remember, Dave lives in Maryland. Dave does not live in Pittsburgh.
Dave, but he said he likes Pittsburgh better. He said he likes Pittsburgh better than Florida.
I moved out here from Pittsburgh, like I said, in 2003. I have relatives in Cleveland that, well, I won't say they've never left Cleveland, but maybe for a bingo game or to go to the dog track.
Cleveland's not too exciting either. I mean, just go ahead and throw that out there. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to Cleveland.
I lived in Cleveland for 8 years. I know Cleveland well.
Oh my goodness,
but it's okay for me. I'm a Midwest guy.
I ran away from Cleveland when I was 16 years old. I spent 3 nights in the bus station to get out of Cleveland. Okay?
This is my favorite podcast.
3 nights in the bus station.
I'm gonna be down in your area next week, Reggie.
I'm getting the hell out
of
here.
But in terms of weather, Reggie, you got to remember, I'm the guy. If you're talking about the weather between Pittsburgh and Florida, remember, I'm the guy that went to the Buffalo playoff game up.
I saw that, man. I saw that. That's called a nightmare, Dave. That's what you call that down here, a nightmare.
68 degrees at Fort Hill.
That's what you call the number one reason I moved to California. But anyway,
right.
Okay, guys, let's get down to some serious business here. Okay, let's talk a little sports. Reggie, I got enough topics for you tonight, and hopefully you'll be able to stay with us here. So let's start out with Patrick Mahomes. He reconstructed his contract. He saved Kansas City a little over 21 mil on their cap space. What do you think that their odds are now of signing that certain cornerback that they put the franchise tag on?
I think it's better than it was before he restructured. Better than it was before he restructured it. I mean, clearly, when you have so the franchise tag, guys, it's interesting because sometimes the franchise tag is placed on a guy because they're uncertain of the guy's talents, if he's going to be worth the money, and sometimes the franchise tag is simply placed on you because we don't have the money. So I think they want to keep him. So I think this helps to work things out for them. Neither party seems contentious. You didn't see anybody unfollowing somebody on social media. You didn't see anything that says that it's a contentious relationship. So I think that this definitely helps move the needle in that term.
What do you think, Dave? Think they're going to keep Snead now?
Well, I mean, to me, whenever you tag a player, normally it's because you want to keep them. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to buy yourself time in order to get them into a longer term contract. And depending on the type of tag, then it either eliminates other teams from bargaining with the guy, or if they're allowed, then they have to give up something in order you can match them. You have right of first refusal. So normally that to me, that means that they want to keep the guy for some time. And for the player, the problem for them is that you're limiting their ability to build their market value, right? Because they're a little bit restricted. It's not like wide open like it is for everybody else that's not tagged. So I think, the 21 million, it's now, is that going to, how does that impact the out years? Because if they're going to be signing him, it would be for a 3, 4, 5 year contract. And how does it go? But it makes it better for what it makes it better for Kansas City is this frees up money to retain the players that they want to retain to go for the 3-peat, or to sign somebody else that they think is going to help them go over the hump. And if Snead is part of their long-term plans, which I think he is, then yeah, sure, it increases the ability because now that they've loosened that cap a little bit, at least for 2024.
What do you think, Demetrius?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys nailed it. It gives you flexibility is the biggest word. I think Reggie's point is it bought them time. It bought them time to look at contracts. Yeah. I think in a perfect world, they would probably trade him if somebody would give them some draft capital. So the tag does a bunch of things. Mostly it bought them time to say, hey, where can we find money? And let's talk to Patrick's agent. Let's talk to this guy, that guy. What can we do? And then it's the hard stuff that David's talking about, where you got to look out, right? At the years, because I don't know if Patrick's restructure just gives them 21 million this year, but they put some kind of escalator, and in 2 years they're going to have $100 million cap hit for Mahomes. How the restructure is done is very important, and what they see their future as, because they might say, hey, we can still trade Snead under the tag. We got that extra 21 million, and we got some draft capital. Now we can start to maintain or rebuild, or as David said, let's go for a 3-peat. flexibility is my ultimate answer. It gives them tremendous flexibility.
Demetrius, since this kind of affects your division here, I'm going to start with you. Running back Josh Jacobs moves to the NFC North. The Packers signed the former Raiders running back to a 4-year, $47 million deal, $12 million guaranteed. Why do you think
interesting
the Pats moved off of Jones there, Demetrius?
Injury
within your division.
Yeah, injury. He wasn't healthy as much as they would like, and I think as an organization, they historically they don't fall in love with their own guys. They will move on from a guy if they think they can get better at a position, and that's a cold, heartless part of this business. And I think that they got better. I'm not scared. I still think I root for the best team in the division, so I'm not scared. But I do believe the Packers got better, and specifically at the running back position, they got better. Josh Jacobs I don't want to say got a raw deal because he got paid. All running backs get a raw deal because none of them are really getting paid the way they should. But that's an upgrade. And I like Aaron Jones. I think he'll be fine where he is. That's an upgrade. And if you can upgrade at any position, well, I don't know if the room's upgraded because A.J. Dillon's also gone. So, but strictly 1-to-1, Jacobs to Jones, I think it's an upgrade. And if you can look at your fan base and say, hey, we made our team better. I don't push back. I'm at a place of I believe the Packers got better in that respect. Now they lost in other areas that I don't know that they got better, but we'll find out about the corner position and all that. But specifically at running back, I think they got better, and that's always the goal, right? In this element of team construction, the free agent, the one of the three ways you can get better, that was an upgrade.
What do you think there, Reg? Upgrade?
I do, but I don't think it's like an incredible upgrade. I think it's a slight upgrade. Because I like Aaron Jones catching the ball better than I think I like Josh Jacobs catching the ball. I think that Josh Jacobs is a better runner. I think I got to look at the age. I got to see if Josh Jacobs is younger too. What's interesting is looking at the contract
Jacobs
here, guys.
is younger.
Yeah,
Jacobs is younger.
Yeah,
26 and Jones is 29.
29, yeah.
So if you guys look at that as a tiebreaker, the age is a tiebreaker. If you look at these two backs very close, I look at them very close because of the different things. I think the two tiebreakers are the health, because Josh Jacobs has been healthier, relatively healthier as of late, and the age would be the tiebreaker. Well, the interesting thing when you look at the devil in details of the contract is this is pretty much a 1-year deal. I mean, it's a 1-year deal with 3-year options because running backs can't seem to get paid, so it's like a 1-year deal. And I guess they're going to revisit it every year thereafter. I'm not really sure, but basically it's a 1-year deal. And I like it because I like Josh Jacobs. I think he's a good back. And I think whenever I see guys moving that I think I help a team somewhere, it's rough to just see them sitting on the sidelines kind of wasting away. So I'm glad that he gets to a place. The Packers, like, they're ascending right now, so we'll probably get a chance to see him and affect that young team. So I think it's a good trade. I can't say Aaron Jones got a raw deal. I don't think it's the best. I think Aaron Jones did give them his best, but I think the injuries, plus I think this also saved the Packers about $5 million moving off of Aaron Jones. When you couple all that, it's not hard to see why the move was made.
Yeah, agree.
Do you agree, Dave?
Yeah. I mean, combination of things: age, injuries, as Dimitri said, and then the savings, as Reggie just mentioned. Now, I don't know how it nets out, whether it's I think that they save $5 million when they released them, and then if that's the case, well, then it's a wash by signing
for sure.
Jones, or was a total. But I think all of those factors I think worked for them, and Jones isn't going too far away, is he?
No.
Yeah, I see it a couple times.
These guys moving into the division, guys, is killing me this time around, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with that?
I'm telling you.
So there might be a couple games where somebody has something to prove.
Yeah.
What'd you think about this one, Dave? The Bears and DeAndre Swift reach a deal. He got 3 years, $24.5 million. 15.3 mil guaranteed. Dave, I'm like, it must have been the money because it wasn't a better team.
Yeah, and with the running backs, their value has really plummeted. And it wasn't so many years ago that 12 to 14 million dollars for a running back was kind of the going rate. Now it looks like it's for free agents, we're down between $4 and $8 million.
Yeah.
So I think with the running backs and it's now he signed a 3-year deal, but to me, maybe the running backs are better off going for single deals, looking for the market to change. But I think it's a hard time for the running backs, and he may have just had to settle and say, hey, here's the best deal, and this is where I'm going to go for now.
Well, 3 years, 24. That's
I was gonna say this $8 million per, because he got one of the topper notch deals. If you can approach towards 10, if you can get up towards 10, that's like the running back kings, right? Of course, you get what's McCaffrey 15, 16 for McCaffrey. So I think that's like the topper number, the upper end for your running back.
Right, and he's just coming on, and he was in his rookie deal. Because this is his, well, he just finished his 4th year. So he was just coming out of his rookie deal.
But I think a lot of it is like Reggie said, it's particularly these running back contracts. It might say 3 years, right? That's about spreading the bonus. The running backs, the league in general, you get your money up
lower the
front.
cap hit.
I look and see what's the guaranteed. When I look at a contract, I hear the agents want to see this big number, right? What's guaranteed? I would, if any of us had to wager something that mattered, will he see the 3rd year of that contract?
Yeah, this is a 2-year deal, guys, for sure, right? This is a 2-year deal, is what it looks like.
And that's how they structure them now. That 3rd year is just to spread the cap money. So I spread the bonus over the cap, which is smart.
But see now, he got 15.3, almost 15.5 mil guaranteed. So he was one of the more fortunate ones.
Yeah, towards the topper of that market.
That might end up being what that deal is. 15.5 over 2 years. So it's probably 7 something. And he may never see the 3rd year, which will be fine for him because if he's healthy, he can go somewhere else.
And then re-up for another 2 years or so,
Exactly.
Now,
that's just the trickeries you play with the contracts now.
Exactly.
Dave, Mr. Singletary, he's going to have a new address too. He signs with the Giants, 3 years, 16.5 mil, could be 19.5 with incentives. He's going to be teaming up now. He has Drew Lock there. He's going to be Daniel Jones' backup. Lock gets a 1-year deal, $5 million. It looks like the Giants have certainly locked up 3rd or 4th place in the East.
Yo, that is very hilarious, by the way. That is very funny.
That's so good.
I think this is where, in the case of Singletary, we're going to learn how fungible these running back positions are, because they had to sign somebody because Saquon Barkley is gone, right?
Yeah, they blew it. That's what they did. They blew it.
They put it perfectly, though. They had to sign somebody. That was so well put.
Yeah, well, they did. And so now we're going to learn, well, how fungible is the running back position? Is there really that small of a step down when you go from somebody like Saquon Barkley to Devin Singletary? Or
is that 16.5 guaranteed, guys? Do we know that? Is that the 6? I'm seeing the number. Is 16.5 the guarantee number?
No.
Singletary.
No.
So what's Singletary's guarantee number?
They didn't disclose what his guaranteed number was.
See, that's what I don't like, guys. You come out and guarantee like $6 million. Like I need to see.
But if you're somebody's agent, you got to publish that big number because you got to jump into it, right?
Then probably it wasn't a big number.
Right.
I was trying to get onto Over the Cap earlier today. I couldn't get on. It's really, I guess everybody's getting on there.
I think it was down. I tried to get on this afternoon. I couldn't get on either.
Right. And maybe it's being overloaded with everybody.
I wanted to look.
Well, you don't mind publishing that big number, right, guys? That's kind of what we're thinking. If it was the bigger number, you wouldn't mind publishing. You wouldn't mind publishing. You leak it if you're their agent, right?
Yeah.
If the
number
number
I'm going to go tell some other dude, I got Singletary 16 mil.
Yeah,
right?
But you kind of have to think it's small because they said that even with the incentives, it could only be up to 19 and a half.
Right.
So that 3 million is maybe what they're might be that guaranteed or whatever. But
rough time to be a Giants fan, man, and not unless you get to that draft. That's the point in time that I see any kind of light for a Giants fan. Maybe you get to the draft, and maybe on draft day they make you smile, but it's rough, man. Drew Lock and Devin Singletary being your signings is rough.
Well, you want to be happy about Brian Burns, but damn it, Daniel Jones is still my quarterback. So what did you want me to do?
And that's where it kind of starts, right, guys? That's why I couldn't get excited about the Bears situation until I know what they're doing. This has become such a league, guys, that if we don't know your quarterback, who cares?
Right.
Who cares about the other positions? If we don't know who your quarterback is.
Exactly. I know we're going to get to him. I'm not jumping the gun. I think the two guys at the top of my screen had the best week. Their team had the best week.
I don't think it's I can tell you something. It was not a bad week. It
wasn't. And by the way, quietly, the best acquisition, although Reggie might not agree, it might be your OC. You don't have Matt Canada anymore. Arthur Smith. I mean, I love what you guys did.
Arthur Smith wasn't a horrible. He was my favorite guy for sure, coming from where he came from here. But as any other fan, I'm a Steelers fan. You got to be cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, once the guy puts on the uniform and runs out there, I gotta dismiss everything and just hope that the guy goes out there and wins games.
Exactly. Hey, Russell, a bag of potato chips. Got a quarterback.
Look here, guys.
That's very true. Very true.
I totally forgot. And Dave, you have to make sure that Sue gets my apologies. Do we have a Sue's corner?
Well, this is perfect timing because she didn't write one because she's under the weather. She
man.
She had to go into the dentist emergency root canal today. But she talked to me, and her issue and we're next to the team. Her first words were to me, "Just shut up, Tiki." He quit on the Giants at the peak of his career, making disparaging remarks about teammates, including Eli Manning. The Giants would go on to defeat the unbeaten Patriots in the Super Bowl the very next year after Tiki left.
Yep.
And then she had to admit, she's a Penn State, she's a Saquon Barkley fan.
Oh yeah.
But she said, it was uncalled for. Now she didn't read, I guess Tiki started to say this was tongue in cheek.
Yeah, he tried to walk it back a bit.
But that was her response. Just shut up, Tiki.
Yeah. It was so blatantly inaccurate because this time a year ago, Saquon wanted to be a Giant. He bent over backwards to try and be a Giant. It was so inaccurate that tongue in cheek or not.
Guys want to get paid, and it's no fault to Saquon wanting to go where people don't want to pay him. Like the Giants did not want to pay the man. The man tried to stay a Giant. Eagles offered better money, and these guys on radio were just talking. I don't understand it.
And another one where it's inside the same division.
The division thing.
Brutal.
This is one of the things that they're talking about when they're saying that the Eagles, they're trying to accuse the Eagles of tampering. Before
they cut him a check. By the way, tamper. They cut him a check.
Right.
What are you talking about? And the Giants could have done it a year ago. Chose not.
Right.
But as I said, though, as Dave pointed out, and this was, my question: do you think that him signing with the Eagles was just a coincidence?
I don't think so. Not with that money. Look at that money
trail. I'm
looking at the money, but the Eagles do play the Giants twice a year, right?
No, I don't. I think the money was great, and the Eagles are a championship level football team, especially with him. That's it. It's the situation.
I think the same division was just icing on the cake.
Happens to be where it
coincidence.
Wasn't
the cake. Yeah, I agree.
Because a coincidence is just I would say just a coincidence. But if the team that offers me the most money is championship level and they happen to play in the same division,
it helps. It helps.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's over $12 million a year. It averages out.
Yeah.
And the Giants just paid a guy 16.5. That's very different. Look at the number differences here. Get out of here.
Right.
Oh, you got it. What is there to talk
the
about?
Truth is, he wasn't asking the Giants for much more than that a year ago.
No.
He would have signed a 3 or 4 year deal a year ago with the Giants for the same money if they would have put it on the table.
Instead, they signed
So
Daniel Jones for 40
Sue.
per year. So I think
Right.
that the Giants, come on, guys.
I'm going to add some
unfortunate for the
steroids
Giants,
to
man.
Sue's corner and say, "Shut the fuck up, Tiki."
Yeah, I definitely think he should.
I know
I'm
Sue's
gonna,
better than me, and Sue is going to say that. I'm going to say that for Sue.
I'm gonna co-sign both of those sentiments,
she
man.
Might.
You know,
She
I'm
might
gonna
In the
co-sign
right
both those.
circumstances.
Yeah. If she hadn't gone to the dentist, she might have said exactly.
Well, hey, let's keep on talking about these running backs. Antonio Gibson decides that he's going from the Commanders to the Pats.
That's interesting.
His base salary is $11.5 million. The max he can make is $17.25. And if Stevenson is your number one, how does this make the Pats better?
Insurance. I mean, Stevenson, didn't he end the season on IR?
Yeah.
Didn't he hurt his ankle?
He got hurt. And Stevenson got hurt, I think, the year before. I think it was later on in the season also.
A great philosopher named Reggie Johnson once said, "If you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter." so I mean,
right. Absolutely.
That's a great
We're holding
idea.
all those people are in the waiting room right there. The people that are in the quarterbacks, they're in the waiting room waiting for their quarterbacks to be delivered, and we don't really know. We don't really know what their teams are going to look like until we see those quarterbacks on those squads here.
Yeah, but I think the league has evolved.
He didn't start too many games for Washington.
He didn't. I know. I don't even understand.
No, it was a kid, Brian Robinson. I want to say that.
I don't understand this signing very much at all. I'm going to be honest with you. This signing
surprised me. Contract for it's got to be.
I don't understand it at that number. That number is crazy, guys. Yeah. If it's 1 year at 11,
2 years at least.
2 years.
Okay, that 1 year at 11 is
makes
insanity.
Better sense.
but that's his base salary though. So that means that he's making 11.25 per year. That's his base.
No, there's no chance. Antonio Gibson is getting 11.25.
So why would you pay Antonio Gibson $11 million?
No. So it's a 3-year deal, and it's 11.25. That's total compensation.
Okay, and that makes
that's about $3.5 million a year. That's
at a backup back is what that number should be.
Who wasn't that great? I mean, he's an NFL player. Don't get me wrong, but that makes more sense. But I think it's Dave's point. Stevenson ended the year on IR. It's a 2-back league now anyway. I mean, unless you have one of the 3 or 4 great ones, and I don't even know if there's that many anymore, it's a combo league. I mean, all the good teams have multiple backs. You have to.
Even Mike Tomlin got the memo.
Exactly. He eventually got it, right?
Zach Moss signs with the Bungles. All of a sudden, Zach Moss is on, 2 years, $8 million.
Zach played himself into that contract.
He did. Not proud of that dude. He got that bag. But it's another example. It's the same conversation we just had with Gibson, right? He's a guy, and the league has. I'm still a fan of running backs. I'm not going to go on too long. The league has diluted them now to where I think people think they're interchangeable. Like, we'll get to my team, but people, when we signed David Montgomery last year and let Jamal Williams walk, people were like, oh, the same thing. No, it's not. David Montgomery is significantly better than Jamal Williams.
He was an upgrade. Absolutely.
Right. The perception is that a running back is a running back and any old running back will do. I'm telling you, that's not it. Here we go with this bullshit. Okay. That's not the way it is. That's not the way it is. But you are these backs, though, in the last 3 days, the running backs and the guards have just cashed checks.
Man, they're flying off the shelf.
Unbelievable checks.
They were left on the shelf a couple of years ago. Now free agency happened. It was fast musical chairs. They were flying off the shelf here.
Well, I see Mr. Scott is here. So, Mr. Scott, How are we doing this evening?
We're doing good. Why is Demetrius always ducking me? We never really got to what happened with the championship game with the 49ers.
Goodness gracious.
Hold on.
Then I want to hear from Reggie about the great banker that's come to your city from Minnesota. The great.
Oh man, I can't wait to discuss that. Yeah,
He called him a banker. That's great. That's great. So, I can answer him very quickly, James.
No, because I want to know which team made the playoffs last year, the Vikings or the Lions. If he can answer me that satisfactorily, then
well, see, James always tries to set me up. He always tries to put me in a box, but see, I'm unboxable. Okay, I'm gonna let you know that I'm unboxable. So
okay.
That's because you live in a glass house.
You're going to check me on why my team was in the NFC Championship game while your team was at home watching them play, why my team failed to get to the Super Bowl.
Hold on.
Do I understand the challenge correctly?
Hold on, because
I mean, and then Dave, who kisses the ring of your coach. Oh, he kisses the ring of Tomlin. Oh, just
Tomlin's firing at everybody.
Not a bad coach.
Firing at everybody. I love it.
You'll be seeing when he's getting his gold put on Anthony.
We're talking about free agency, and we're going to talk about the Vikings. So
you knew as soon as he joined, this whole thing was going to go left. We all knew that. As soon as he signs on, the whole podcast goes left. But that's all right.
So we were talking about Zach Moss. Reggie, you were saying how he played himself into that contract.
I think he did. Play himself into the contract. I don't know that he's an upgrade from Joe Mixon. It's kind of like when you see, I don't believe there's as big of a difference between the Devin Singletary and Saquon situation. But when it's like Dave said not too long ago, you got to sign somebody, right? You're somebody you got to hand the ball off to back there. So I think Zach Moss is not a bad person to sign, but I don't think that they necessarily upgraded from Joe Mixon either. So it's kind of like a wash to me. And then based on Joe Burrow's health, nothing really matters here in this city. If Joe Burrow ain't playing out back there, but the kid, who was the guy that had last year? He came in and he was serviceable, man. They had another guy come in quarterbacking for the Bengals last year, and his name is escaping me.
Yeah, backup.
But he did pretty good. He came out there and he represented himself pretty good. So he I don't necessarily know that they want Joe Burrow sitting on the sideline, but I mean, if you're gonna be, it's good to have a guy that can come in and kind of get you some.
I think he won 3 out of 5 games, something like that. But
he was slinging it. He was slinging it out there too. So I think that's
Jake
cool.
Browning?
There we go. Jake Browning. He came in and he wasn't a bad guy, but at the end of the day, though.
What's his name was hurt. The number 1 receiver was hurt. That was before
Chase. Chase was out for a while.
Chase was out.
You got to get those guys back, man. If you're the Bengals, I feel like that's where your focus is, right? If you're Bengals, your focus is Chase. Now that the Higgins situation happened, and
we're going to talk about the Bengals too. Eventually here anyway. Go ahead, Demetrius. You were another one that said that Zach played his way into that.
Yeah, and I do. Good for Zach. I think it's says 2 years, $8 million. It's probably 1 year. I don't know how much is guaranteed. The Bengals, I have a good friend who's a Bengals fan. They're trying to sell the fans on getting younger, although I think there's 18 months age difference. I believe Mixon was a better pass catcher. So I'm going to go to the great philosopher Reggie Johnson and use one word: wash.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's kind of, I think Mixon might have literally more carries. So they might be viewing it that way. And I think we all know there's some nebulous number of carries that this league says once you cross that threshold, you're done. I don't get it or understand it, but it's okay. I think they if there was a benefit, I didn't read it, but
I think Mixon's making significantly more money than what Zach's gonna be making. So maybe they wanted a cheaper back. I don't know.
And if they think there's, like, to use David's a sort of graphic, it's this. How big is this gap? Right. And if they think it's close and they can get him a little cheaper and he's a year younger, it makes sense to somebody.
What do you think, Dave? He's within our division here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't see the difference. I don't think that it's an upgrade. I don't think it's necessarily a huge downgrade because their offense is around Joe Burrow. It's not around Joe Mixon, or wasn't around Joe Mixon. It was around Joe Burrow. So it's fine. Just another running back to tackle. Now, one thing though, and something that people don't talk a lot about with running backs is their blocking ability.
Yeah.
And I go back to Le'Veon Bell. One of the things where he was very, very good at was as a blocking for his quarterback when he was in. And then, that's something that they've wanted, like Jaylen Warren. He's a very, very good blocker.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of an underappreciated contribution.
Adrian Peterson was terrible. Yeah.
What's that?
No, I said Adrian Peterson was terrible at that.
Right. And to me, that's a really underappreciated talent of the running back. So that's
keeps you on the field. I tell you that. You something that'll get you off the field. Let those guys keep slipping by you. You're gonna be on that bench. You're gonna be on that sideline.
Dave, Joe Mixon, he was traded to the Texans. Actually, they were getting ready to release him, but the Texans also signed defensive end Danielle Hunter. He agreed to terms, 2 years, $49 million, $48 million guaranteed.
2 years. 2 years, 48.
He's glad he's not a running back, right?
No.
Now, a bunch of Danielle's money's guaranteed, though. Danielle Hunter's got a lot of guaranteed money.
Yeah, $48 million. I was
hoping to get him down here, man. He's a great player.
48. How do you get a contract where you sign for 49 and you get 48 million?
They didn't want that last million. They were like, "Hey, we just can't."
You mean they just didn't want to follow Cleveland's example? Just give it all.
Exactly, give it all.
Yeah,
they didn't want to set the precedent.
Anyway, do you think that the Texans will return to the playoffs there?
I think they have a great shot. I mean, they really impressed me.
I like what they're doing.
And I mean, the coach, the quarterback, the offensive line, and then, look at the division that they're in. Like Jacksonville will have Trevor Lawrence, and I'm not sold on Jacksonville, but maybe that's going to be the most competitive team, because then you have Indianapolis that is just signed Gordon Minshew. And then they have Richardson, who seems to have a lot of potential, but he only played 4 games last year.
Yeah.
So Indianapolis is kind of like in this building phase. And then with Tennessee, sounds like they're going to have Mason Rudolph in the house. And they got Will Levis. And so I like the Texans' chances of being back in the playoffs, especially looking at the rest of that division. I mean, I'm not saying that those are all horrible teams, but I don't think any of them are top shelf.
I thought Minshew went to the Raiders. Did Minshew go to the Raiders? I thought he did. He might not have, though.
Oh, did he go to the Raiders? For some reason, I thought he was in Indianapolis.
He signed a deal with the Raiders, and
so who's there with Richardson then? Who's the other quarterback?
Therein lies the problem. Yeah, that was my backup. Who knows?
Great question.
You better pray. You better pray they got good doctors and Richardson stays healthy. That's a pray Richardson stays healthy team, because if he doesn't, that's a complete.
Yeah, and he's unproven to me. I mean, he's played 4 games. That's it.
Exactly.
So I'd like the Texans' chances to return to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Texans doing some smart stuff.
What do you think, Demetrius?
Yeah, I think this is another. The Mixon deal is so under the radar smart, because I think the cap hit is only 6-ish. It's only 1 year left on the deal. He's 27. If they like
the
him,
trade worked out much better for him.
The trade was a really smart trade, I think, for them.
Yeah.
So if they like him and he fits, and I like Joe Mixon, I've always liked him. He's a really good pass catching running back as well. So if he fits, they'll be able to re-up him. They can negotiate and give him something bigger that might even spread out the cap hit. But his cap hit's 27-year-old back who's a proven commodity. He comes in. They've got, again, to Reggie's point, they've got their quarterback situation set. Everything works off of that. So when you do something like this, and you've got your quarterback situation straight. Daniil Hunter is a beast. Sorry, Mr. Scott, you already know this. He's going to help them. They're a better football team. They're a significantly better team than they were, and they made the playoffs.
They're going to be very tough.
I think it's no question they make the playoffs. They're going to be a good football team. They got the quarterback solved, and they just got better. They got better in the last 2 days.
Yeah, most certainly there. So let's go ahead here. Let's see who are we talking? Oh, Mr. Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard has moved on. He signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Titans. Again, didn't say how much was guaranteed, but didn't the Cowboys show that Tony Pollard isn't RB1 quality? I mean, they ran him in the ground out there, between him and Zeke. But I mean,
in Dallas,
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say they proved it in Dallas, but he's going to a new venue. He's going to the Titans. They had Derrick Henry for a long time. They love to run. Maybe a new venue. Maybe that gives him a new sporting life.
But Mr. Scott, do you think that the Titans line is better than the Dallas's line?
No, they got rid of Henry. I don't even know who their quarterback is with the Titans. I'm not sure. What are they?
Probably gonna be Levis.
Levis, and they're signing Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph. I mean, retreads. I just see them just treading water right now. They're not giving any of my money on any game this year.
No insolent money, Mrs. Scott.
I don't think they deserve it. They don't deserve it. Look at what's going on there. Like, how? I mean, I don't even know if they deserve the fans' money. Look at this team. It's just not anything. This is a mess. It's not anything to be excited about right now. I don't think. I mean, they did get Calvin Ridley, I heard today. So, they gave him the bag. So, I mean, hopefully somebody can throw it to him. But I mean, I feel like that was just making up for the AJ Brown debacle, in my opinion. But it's I don't know. The Tony Pollard situation is interesting because massive shoes to fill. You got to come in after Derrick Henry. You crazy? And I don't think Tony Pollard can fill those shoes. I don't think he can do it. I mean, maybe hard down. Hopefully he does, but I don't know.
Horrible signing. I think it's a horrible sign. You guys know how much I hate to agree with Mr. Scott. I do not wake up in the morning wanting to agree with Mr. Scott on something, but he happens to be dead right here. They're not getting any of my money, metaphorically. I think they have created a cluster. They've a mess. Yeah. It's going to end up being a bad contract, in my opinion. And I think Reggie just nailed it. The Ridley signing is admission that they messed up with AJ Brown. I don't love what's I don't love what's happening in Nashville. I think they're in trouble. I think it's only a 2-year deal, really, because you know how we talked about how those contracts work. But that's still $24 million. That's you could have done a lot of different things. I mean, you could have gave Daniil Hunter that money. I mean, you could have done some different things. I don't like this signing. I don't happen to believe Tony Pollard's an RB1. To go back to your original premise, never did, still don't. They're paying him like an RB1 in this league, and I think they're going to expect him to be an RB1, and they're going to find.
I thought it was a 3-year deal.
It is.
It is, but it's really a 2-year deal. Yeah, it's one of those. It's 3 years on paper. The agent said it's
with a void in the third
voidable year. Yeah.
So then it's
the agent's going to tell you
much like 16 guaranteed around that.
Yeah, I think he has 17 guaranteed, actually, something like that. So it's fundamentally 2 years and $17 million is what it is, which is still in the crazy depressed running back market. It's a bad contract in my opinion. But wow. I mean, good for Pollard, but I'm not giving any of Mr. Scott's money to the Titans. So.
No, they're off the board.
Right. They're off the board.
They're off the board.
Well, look, this other team definitely has to be off the board too, but we'll talk about it. Eckler takes a pay cut to come east. He actually goes to the Commanders. 2 years, contract worth up to $11 million.
How's he making less money than Tony Pollard? How the hell is that possible?
That's all I was just going to say. How the hell does that happen?
Get out of here with that, man. That's horrible.
Productive as hell.
Horrible.
And that's it. That's it. At some point.
Eckler has never had 1,000-yard season rushing.
It's his yards from scrimmage yards where he's killing it.
I mean,
he had I think it was 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year, wasn't it?
And he was the leading scrimmage guy a couple years ago. A year or two ago, he was the leading guy.
But his running success rate, because I kind of like that stat, that's kind of better than the yards per carry.
Yeah.
But it was like a 47% success rate. You really need to have that up above 50, right? I'm talking about last year.
That's an offensive line.
He was injured.
Is that an offensive line metric
last year?
Yeah.
You could very well be the line.
Yeah, I think that part of that is your offensive line. I think Austin Eckler's a productive back. Forget all that. I think he's better than Tony Pollard.
I think he's better than Pollard. I think he's going to sit behind Robinson, though. So maybe that's what that number is into. Maybe they're viewing him as a backup to Robinson. So they're paying him backup money because it's basically backup money to Brian Robinson, and Brian Robinson is still there.
And Brian Robinson will be there if there is such a thing as a feature back in this league anymore. It'll be Robinson.
Yeah, much younger, a lot less wear.
Yep.
But they do so much back by committee now.
Yeah,
it just seems they just do so much of that.
Yeah, there's like you said, I think there's only going to be so many 1,000-yard backs, even less than there were before, because of that. But nowadays you have to have hands if you want to be a back, even more so, I think, than your yards per carry. But you were talking about Tony Pollard. Gus Edwards is now a Charger. Now,
that's such a mad signing to me, man.
Gus Edwards wasn't even a starter when he was with the Ravens.
You get rid of Austin Eckler and sign Gus Edwards?
That's what.
Is that what
who would you rather have? Yep.
Does that mean you're drafting a running back? Is that what they're telling us here? Are they telling us they're going to draft a running back?
2 years, $6.5 million. See, $3.375 million guaranteed.
A 1 year deal.
Yeah. See, anytime you got less than $4.5 million guaranteed, I mean, really?
You're a backup, and you're doing this again next year. Which maybe they're fine with that. Their coach is a lunatic. I don't even talk about that dude. So I don't know what they're doing out there. I'm not going to go off in that direction, but I have no idea what they're doing. The running back thing in the last 3 days to me is as fascinating a thing as I've seen in this league in a long time. The running back movement, the contracts, the whole thing has been crazy. But in division movement, all the stuff we've been talking about. And this is just another that maybe I'm not as smart as I think. Austin Eckler is better than Gus Edwards. I'm sorry. Everything I've seen, all the data
Austin Eckler's making more money now, Demetrius, than Gus Edwards is making. So even in that crazy contract that we were just discussing, that's still better than what they're paying their guy now.
Right. So you just consciously downgraded your running back position on purpose.
Yeah.
Now here's another comparison though between Edwards and Eckler. But again, the problem with the running back is they depend, and I think you pointed this out, Demetrius, is who's their offensive line.
Their offensive line. Yeah.
But where Eckler had a 47% success rate running the ball last year, Edwards had a 54% success rate running the ball. Yeah.
Edwards running it behind that
Ravens. But the Ravens offensive line is
exactly. That's
pretty good. And so then my question would be is where is the Chargers offensive line?
Yeah.
Right.
One of the worst. I can tell you that.
We'll find out. We'll revisit this next year when Gus Edwards signs a $2.5 million contract with some other team, and we're assessing how he played in LA with the Chargers.
Is he going to be their number one back? That's because Herbert likes to throw the ball to his backs, man, and I don't remember Gus Edwards necessarily being a pass catching back. But it's interesting because if Gus Edwards is your number one back, I don't know if you can give it up on the season already. I don't know if you've already just said that the season ain't gonna matter to you, but that seems kind of depressing. Now Gus ain't horrible. He has some glimpses. No. He's not a bad back by any shape of the imagination, but This is just
but the data says
signing,
you
man.
could have kept Austin Eckler for like $800,000 more, less than $1 million more, and you could have kept Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler.
Maybe it's me.
Whose hands are proven? Whose hands are proven?
His data suggests he's a better back.
What-
But it might be what David's talking about. None of it might matter. If the offensive line isn't good, it might not matter who's there.
And I think somebody had mentioned, are they going to draft a running back? Because the whole thing is.
Yeah, I think that they're going to. I mean, maybe they should look
Gus
into
Edwards
it.
is not
that was
he's
that
not
was
going
the
to carry
question.
a backfield.
Yeah,
right.
That was the
Agreed.
question. Did you think that the Chargers had improved at the running back position? Mr. Scott, what do you think about Eckler going to the Commanders? I'm sure they're not going to get any of your money, and the Chargers either. But what's your thoughts here?
Well, the San Diego, they're rebuilding. I mean,
I love that. Call them San Diego because I do that all the time.
That's where they should have. They should stayed in San Diego.
And the Commanders, again, these are teams that are really just kind of scrambling to sell something to their fan base. Whatever, they just try to make something kind of a buzz as much as they can. They're also Rans. I mean, it's almost like, me against, if we were to have a pay-per-view bout, me and JK3, it would be, what would be the odds on that? I don't know.
That's very hilarious, by the way.
I want that so bad. I'll sponsor it, man. My podcast will sponsor that.
Hey,
I'll air that shit for sure.
We can go on the undercard of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
Goodness gracious. You're talking about a cash grab. You're talking about a cash grab if there ever was one. What is Tyson like pushing 60 right now? Is that what Tyson is? Tyson got to be in his 50s, right? 57?
It's going to be
jump in the ring with Jake Paul.
To cash that, they're going to cash all the checks.
What if he knocks him out like that? That's and then what? Then what happens? He's not going to restart
he does
his
it again
career.
And gets another check.
He's just going to go get another check.
It's going to be scripted. It's going to be scripted.
I agree.
Wrestling, WWE out here is what it is.
It's going to be a draw. They're going to have some fun. Call it a draw.
Dave, Derrick Henry is now a Ratbird. He got 2 years, 16 mil.
Boy,
$9 million.
That's the last piece they need.
That's the question. Dave, is this the last piece that Lamar needed?
Yeah. I want to hear how Dave feels about this. I've been waiting for this all
day. I mean, for Henry, now welcome to the AFC North. And he's not any younger. And all of those teams are going to be hammering the running back. So welcome to the AFC North. And, in terms of being the final piece, well, Baltimore took some holes on their defense.
They did.
And so, is that enough? I'm going to be kind of interested to see what Baltimore's defense looks like, because that's where they took the hit. And
McQueen is not a bad football player. I'll say that.
Right. I love that signing.
They will miss him.
Yep. So, but Derrick Henry, I mean, he's going to take a pounding, and I don't know if he'll be able to pound teams the way he was in his old division, in his new division.
He's got a better offensive line.
He's also hit that number, though. I hate to be the guy. I didn't like this
number 30.
Like, I believe in the data, and the data suggests Derrick Henry is doing this, right? He is not getting better. We all agree on that, right? He's not getting better.
His yards per carry are down.
Right. The data, like I said, I always go. The data says he's not gonna put them over the top.
The thing that Derrick Henry does have going for him is that in Tennessee, that was kind of a run first offense.
Yep.
Now he's a piece of a running offense, but a running offense that is geared around its quarterback.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's around the quarterback. If Lamar does what he's supposed to do, which he didn't do in the playoff game, which I was so baffled by the way he played, because he didn't do his normal running, keeping the defense off balance.
Oh, that was hardball. They weren't calling running plays.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this question.
They barely ran the ball.
Let me ask you guys this question. Sorry, James, I'm not trying to take over the podcast. But if you are the defensive coordinator of the team playing the Ravens on Sunday, and you're in your defensive meeting room on Wednesday, how much more time are you spending worrying about Derrick Henry than you did about J.K. and Gus last year? That's
JK,
what I'm saying.
You're not worried about him because he ain't playing. And then with Gus, I think that if it's Gus Edwards or Derrick Henry, I'm much more worried about Derrick Henry than I am Gus Edwards.
Okay.
And I feel like I like the piece. I think that I like the signing. I think it makes
Is it the piece? Because that was the question, right, James? Is this the piece?
Is a lot, right? It's a final piece because of who they lost on defense. Like if you kept everybody and you just added Derrick Henry, that's one thing. But when you're losing other guys in other places, it's hard to say that this guy's going to come in and then make up for losing Queen on the defense. Right. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to. He can't play both. Right. He can't play both sides of the field. So final piece, I think, is a lot. And maybe for Lamar himself, maybe Lamar goes to newer heights now that you got somebody like Derrick Henry back there. But
they're in the AFC, so I don't care if I get proven wrong. I don't think this is. I think we're still thinking about 2020 Derrick Henry, and that's not what they're getting. I don't think that's what they're getting.
He had over 1,000 yards last year, though, right? Wasn't he? Didn't he have like 1,200 yards last year? I got to look at that and see.
Yeah, I think he had. I'm pretty sure he had 1,200.
LeVar Ball once said,
"It's not a bum."
Never lost. Father Time has never lost. I mean, Father Time has never lost.
Peak either.
Yeah, right. So 1167 on the yards, 12 touchdowns. He's not a bum.
I'm not saying he's a bum. I'm not saying he's. I swear I'm not saying. How many carries? Oh, no, never mind. It's too late.
280 on the carries.
Okay,
yeah. That's a lot of carries.
Yeah. Okay,
but see, this Baltimore has the same problem as all NFL teams. They have king size bed needs and only a queen size set of sheets to cover those king size needs.
Wow, well put.
Right,
well put. Yeah.
And so every time they take care of one need, well, then they just uncovered it.
Another one walks out the door.
That's
right?
why this league works. That's why this league works. In the last 3 days, everybody is so focused on, look what they added. I'm sorry, they lost Patrick Queen. Is that what happened? Yeah, you got to look at all of it. You got to look at what they lost and what they added. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Mr. Scott, what was your thought about Cleveland adding Jameis Winston to back up Mr. Massage? They traded
what is wrong with Cleveland? What happened to Stefanski? He was my main man when he was up here. I was hoping he was going to. What's happened to him? Oh, he's a shell of himself. Why would you get him?
I would have kept Flacco.
Because you miss Mr. Massage. You don't know if you don't know what's happening with him. Really, he might get hurt. He might just twist his finger. He might break. He might. What did the great announcer say? I broke my knee. There was a thing in my knee. What did he say? I broke.
Wow. Yeah.
Why would you get him? That part I don't. I would not want Jameis Winston. If it comes to an emergency and you say you got to call on him, I'm like, good Lord. I mean.
What do you think, Dave? Another guy coming to our division.
Yeah, why no Flacco? I don't get it.
Well, Flacco's with the Colts now.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe he's starting there. I don't know until Richardson gets back.
But Jameis Winston. I mean, well, get ready because he may. I mean, Deshaun Watson hasn't shown that he can complete a season yet. So.
Yeah,
he better be ready to play.
Yeah,
and with Jerry Jeudy, okay. I mean, he's a pretty good receiver. I mean, he's improved and reduced the number of drops from his rookie year. But you got to have somebody passing you the ball. And I'm not Deshaun Watson since he's come to Cleveland hasn't shown me that. I saw him in a preseason game and he was throwing the ball at receivers' feet. So I think the Browns might have some problems, and I don't get. I mean, I thought Flacco did a great job for them. To me, it's almost like what they did to. It's not as bad, but whenever they got rid of Baker Mayfield.
man, you guys got to stop putting me in a position to continue to agree with Mr. Scott. But the reality is, Deshaun's going to go down. And just like he said, somebody in that building in Berea, Ohio is going to go, wait, our backup's Jameis? Oh, God. That's exactly what they're going to say. I'm not a Jameis guy. I've never been a Jameis guy. I think people get fascinated by physical characteristics. And in shorts and a T-shirt on the practice field, I've seen him in person. I've actually seen Jameis Winston. I was 5 feet away from him. He is impressive looking. But reading a defense, understanding pre-snap motion and progressions, no. We have no evidence that he can do any of that.
In my locker room, man.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I don't know that he's a good dude in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think it's a big-time, oh, my God moment, like Mr. Scott said. And when Flacco was an option, and I have to believe he was, you had him there in the building. You could have kept him. I don't understand.
I think people were scared that if Flacco did too good, it'll put too much pressure on the $200 million guy they're paying. So they had to get the legit competition out of here and then just put a guy in there that they pray don't have to come in, but he will be coming in.
So this is an ancillary effect of keeping Mr. Massage happy. So we're trying to keep Mr. Massage happy.
Make sure our $200 million is not wasted.
That's how you run your organization. If that's how you run your organization, congratulations.
And they're stuck with his contract, with Massage's contract. Is that guaranteed?
That money's
guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All guaranteed. Fully guaranteed.
Fully guaranteed.
Yep.
All right.
Horrible signing.
He's not. They're not paying him. They've paid him.
Yeah. Second worst contract in history. When did we talk about Russell Wilson? Have we talked about Russell Wilson yet? I'm sorry.
No.
I want to hijack the podcast. Eventually, we got to talk about that. Right?
I'm getting down before I get your individual opinions here, but I want to talk about Gabe Davis first because he went south to the AFC South, and he signed a 3-year deal for $39 million with the Jaguars. To me, this kind of says that Gabe had a lack of confidence in his Bills making it to the Super Bowl. He might as well go ahead and get paid if he's going to get hit.
I don't think he really deserves an opinion, to be honest with you. Like, what has this guy done that Gabe Davis deserves being? Let's see what Gabe Davis wants to say about the Bills. When you think about the Bills, how many people do you mention before you mention Gabe Davis's name as far as like contributing to that team? I think he's a serviceable too. But if you ever had Gabe Davis on your fantasy team, guys, like I know, be prepared for weeks in and weeks out.
Weeks in, weeks out. Yeah,
he's gonna give you about seven, eight good weeks, guys.
Yeah, this is a classic example of Team A having a really good one, and the 2 looks like a 1 because the 1 is the 1, right? So an organization like Jacksonville looks at Gabe Davis and says he could be our wide receiver 1. Forgetting he always had the second best corner covering him, right? Stephon took all the smoke. So Gabe Davis looks really, really pretty, right? Because Stephon took all the smoke. The Lions historically have done this kind of stuff, signed guys to be our 1 when they really were just really good 2s. And if you make a mistake of thinking a really good 2 could be a 1, this is what happens. And I got nothing against Gabe Davis. I never drafted him in my fantasy league, so I don't
do it now. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Stay away, man.
Yeah.
Now,
break your heart.
Reggie, I agree with you.
Now, if you're telling me you're going to line him up at the X and you're going to target him 8 times a game, okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that, because now the best.
They're paying him money like that, though, Demetrius. His money isn't money at the wide receiver position.
Who's their 1 though?
That's a good question because now Ridley has
Ridley's
so they're basically paying their 1, $12, $13 million a year. Like that. I don't think that's going to cut it.
I think they expect him to be a 1. They're going to draw him up as the X in most formations.
Yes.
And all due respect to the Davis family, Gabe Davis is not a 1. Sorry.
I don't think he is too. I think he could be a high level 2, maybe.
I think he'd be an excellent 2. He's shown he can be an excellent 2.
Yeah, he could be an excellent 2 when you have an excellent 1, but Jacksonville right now doesn't have one.
This will be a contract we're talking about in 2 years, really bad, where they're gonna want out. This can be one of those.
I wonder how many of these years are guaranteed. I see the 3. I wonder how many are guaranteed on this because I don't see a guarantee for it.
I don't. And you guys tell me what you think. I don't think years matters anymore. It's about how much money is guaranteed.
Correct.
And if you're getting the guaranteed money in the first 2 years, you can call it a 3-year contract. If you're Gabe Davis's agent, it's a 2-year contract. Because what that team can do at the end of that second year is let that dude go with a minimal cap hit. If I can let you go and it doesn't destroy my cap, that year might as well be voidable.
A 39 guarantee would be shocking for me for Gabe Davis. Like
So
a 3-year guarantee
3 years,
would be kind of shocking.
30,
3 years, 39. So
39?
13 per.
My guess is 20 of it is probably guaranteed. I don't know if they actually released it. I didn't see it.
They did. No,
this didn't hit my radar. I'm going to be honest. The idea that you're going to give Gabe Davis $40 million told me everything I needed to know about that signing. And I mean that with no disrespect. Gabe Davis is an NFL wide receiver. God bless him and his family.
24 million and a 10 million signing bonus. A 24 million guaranteed.
Okay.
24 million.
24 million guaranteed. So basically a 2-year, roughly.
2 years, 24 million really is what it is. And now if he exceeds it and I'm wrong, great. I think Gabe Davis is a really good number 2, and Jacksonville is paying him and expecting him to be a 1. And that generally doesn't work out. Yeah. Now maybe they're going to draft somebody or do something else. I don't know.
We'll see.
And by the way, over the cap that is now working. I just looked it up.
Oh, good.
But there's 3 voidable years on that contract. So it's a 3-year contract with 3 voidable years.
So is he not even playing? Is this a game-to-game contract? Are they paying him per game?
It might be a 1 year. They might get out of this after 1 year, pay him, but you can't. If you guaranteed him $24 million, that's got to be a 2-year deal. You're not going to let him. Yeah, you're not paying him $24 million guaranteed.
Well, what they're doing is they're stretching out that bonus even further.
That's for the bonus.
So that's for the cap hit over the year.
The Gabe's at an age where I think they would expect to get at least 2 years out of that. And he's a good receiver. If they add somebody else, now this
contract doesn't look so bad, right? It doesn't look bad.
It's much better if you add another receiver.
Yeah. Okay.
The Bills are losing. They lost Leonard Floyd and Dane Jackson on the defense.
Yep.
But then look at their division, though. Are the Jets going to be up there this year?
No,
I mean,
but
Rodgers is running for president.
I mean, Miami, but it's still.
They lost Jordan Poyer. They lost the Buffalo got hit by that fallacy that people are out here saying the salary cap isn't real. You can manipulate it and you can create cap space out of thin air. I'm sorry, you can't. Ask the Chargers, who had to release Mike Williams today, who had to restructure Khalil Mack today. Ask Buffalo. Ask Minnesota. The cap is not
kick the can down the road.
Right. You can do it for a while, and eventually that invoice shows up, and you got to pay it.
Reggie, I'm going to start with you here. Quarterback Kirk Cousins is now a Falcon. 4 years, 180 mil. Kurt hits the bank, man. You can't.
Kurt went to Michigan State.
Wait, before you go, let me get my popcorn. For it.
Mr. Scott can hate Reggie. I don't have to be his enemy no more. He's got a new enemy. We can be friends, Mr. Scott. You can get on Reggie now.
This is 100 mil in guarantees over the next.
At Michigan State education, baby.
Yeah, I held on for an extra 20 minutes just to get to this questioning, and I'm out of here after this.
That's why I came to you first.
We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you.
Thank you for that.
I looked at the time and I said,
I got my popcorn, so let's go.
Okay. So now they also acquire wide receiver Darrell Mooney for 13 mil per season, 3 years, 39 mil, 29 mil guaranteed.
Oh my God.
Darnell Mooney is what you said?
Oh my God, man. I ranted about Darnell Mooney to fellow fans yesterday for a full day. I don't know if I have another full Darnell Mooney rant, but I can definitely give you the Kirk Cousins rant though. So with Cousins, for one, what got to be one of the smartest quarterbacks out here with the money that this man has made. This man has made money all throughout his career. He's made a ton of money in this league. Now, last year, I was beating the drum for Kirk Cousins. I was hoping the Vikings would trade him when he was on his 5,000-yard pace that he was on last year, and I was beating the drum for him last year. And then something called an Achilles injury happened, and now I was not as excited. I'm not as excited about the guy because when you have a guy that's never been injured, you don't know what the hell he's going to look like when he comes back. Like, the guy's never been injured. And now when he starts this deal, he's going to be 36. Okay? So the 5-10 year, get out of here with that. We're not going to have the guy for 5 or 10 years, not unless you think he's Tom Brady. I don't think he is. So maybe this is a 2 to 3 year deal. I personally
guaranteed 2 years.
Correct. It's 45, 10. So it's this man is getting paid. This man's getting paid.
I call him the banker. He's the banker.
When you look at that number, guys, to me, this number is like somebody who lives, and this is not disparaging anybody who live in trailer parks, but you got your Bentley outside parked in front of your trailer park. Yeah. Now the thing is like, I don't know. I love my team.
Section 8. Yeah.
We don't deserve, in my opinion, a $40 to $50 million quarterback. Like $40, $50 million quarterbacks, guys, in my opinion, are reserved for guys who are one piece away from the Super Bowl. You feel like you can get to the Super Bowl and you're missing one piece. So you pay that one piece $40, $50 million to come in here and hopefully put you over the line. But when I'm hearing people say to me, oh, this means we'll get out of the division, we play in the damn South. That's not an accomplishment. Getting out of the division, you can get out of the division with 9 games. You can get out of the division. Lord forbid we pay this man $45 million and we have 9 wins and 1 playoff win. I would have rather saved the money, because the problem is with contracts like this, if we had taken a rookie, the rookie contract has made it so possible now that if you take an L on that, it's not punitive to your team for years out. A contract like this, if he comes and slips or pulls an Aaron Rodgers or something like that, we're screwed for years, because we've already paid the man the money. It's guaranteed. So we've already let $100 million walk out the door. I think if he plays the entire contract, then this contract looks a little bit better. And if we get to NFC championship games, we're knocking on the door, we're making deep playoff runs, this contract looks a little bit better. But $180 million, $100 million guaranteed over the next damn near 2 years. He's going to get 90 of it in 2 years. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll say that, because, at this point, just like I told you with Arthur Smith going to the Steelers, and people know how I feel about Arthur Smith. At the end of the day, we're going to take it in. I'm going to have to root for the guy. I'm going to have to root for the guy to have success. But at this number, it doesn't surprise me that the Vikings let him walk. This is expensive, guys. 45.
Yep.
This is expensive. You better win 1-year contracts before this.
Correct. With the Washington. So with Washington,
they
were dumb.
They
kept franchising the guy.
2 years.
He kept betting on himself, so he kept eating on that franchise tag. And then he went to Minnesota. Minnesota gave him the first fully guaranteed contract. I think it was like a 3-year, 70, 80-ish, somewhere around there. And it's the first time anybody had ever had a fully guaranteed contract. Kirk Cousins did that. But he played it. You look at his stats. Stats-wise, guys, Kurt is amazing. Like, when you look at his stats, he's an amazingly great quarterback.
He plays every game. He played every game until
correct.
Every single game, every play.
And I feel like that is the issue. We're paying him like he still played every game. You know what I mean? That's what he's been paid for. When you get $100 million, you're paying a guy like he still played every single game. And he missed about half the season. I want to say, I think he played 8 games last year.
Yeah.
It's rough. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm thinking that it's definitely going to be an upgrade from what we had. But unless we're ready to make a deep playoff run, I don't see this really making sense. He should have been maybe on other teams, but some people do feel like we're one person away. But I hear a lot of people down here saying when they saw that money, they were like, Super Bowl or bust. He better get us there, because the fan base ain't gonna be going for it if we just make a 9 wins and get to the playoffs. It's not going to be enough for this money.
Well, give us your final thoughts before you leave there, Reg.
My final thoughts is I am happy that the Steelers have made some moves. They were depressing me with all this Rudolph Pickett talk. Was fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry, is it 10 o'clock? Yeah, all right. Yeah, fucking ridiculous. So I was very happy that both our teams have made moves. It's interesting. They both went with veterans. Neither one went the rookie quarterback route, which I felt like we could go the rookie quarterback route here in Atlanta because we were picking 8th. So I thought it was a real opportunity for us to go to rookie quarterback route.
Steelers guaranteed Russell Wilson his contract too.
Yeah, I think that what is that? I guarantee right? So let me tell you, I wanted that meal down here. So our guy is making 48 times what the Steelers are paying Russell Wilson. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I don't
37 and a half.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate you being on with you guys as always, guys. Talk to you later.
Good to see you, Reg.
All right, Reg.
Take care, Reg.
See you later.
Okay, let's see. I think I'm gonna come to you here, Demetrius. The Lions only signed cornerback Amik Robinson, 2 years, $92.8 million. could be worth. I mean,
not
9.
90.
9
Did not give that dude $92 million. Okay.
Yeah, 9.28 million.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Could be worth up to 10 million. But 10.5 with incentives. Demetrius, you guys didn't do a lot of diving into the free agent pool there. What happened?
Well, let me get my popcorn. Get some more popcorn before.
You need some popcorn. Go ahead.
You ready? Get some more popcorn. I want to listen to this. I want to listen to this. Yeah.
The answer is easy. We didn't need to. We don't need to. Our best players are in the building. We don't need to go get people from other rosters. We had 3 areas we need to address, and there's 3 ways to do it: trade, free agency, draft. The truth is, we have to look and say, hey, we got to pay Amon-Ra St. Brown. We got to pay Penei Sewell because he's the best right tackle in football. We're going to have to pay Aleem McNeil. We got to pay Hutch coming up. And then right behind that is going to be Gibbs and Laporta. The people we're going to pay already live in Michigan, right? And we got to pay Jared Goff, by the way. So we don't need to go raid other rosters. We needed to upgrade the cornerback room, right? Cam Sutton's good. He's not a CB1. Carlton Davis makes us better. Amik Robinson makes the cornerback room is better than it was. We're not a million miles away. We're not the Vikings. We're one half of football away from being in the Super Bowl.
Again,
so we needed to hold on. We needed to get better at corner.
You're avoiding the elephant in the room.
No, he asked me why we didn't delve into free agency. My answer is simple. We didn't need to. We took Davenport from Minnesota. He just helped us on our line. We're going to get better because of organic growth. Josh Paschal's going to get better. Jack Campbell's going to get better. Gibbs, Laporta. We're going to get better internally, so we don't need to go steal other people's players. We signed it. We made a trade with Tampa. We gave up a 3rd-round pick for Carlton Davis. 1 year, $14 million. Doesn't mess up our cap. If he fits, we'll re-sign him. If he doesn't, we'll draft him. And we can do that because our guy drafts better than everybody. That's why he was executive of the year in 2023, because Brad Holmes' forte is draft. We're going to draft a guard and fill that need. We're probably going to draft a receiver in the 2nd round. And if we need to fill with another D lineman, we will. But my guy drafts better than everybody. Our deal is April 25th and 26th in Detroit. Your boy's going to be there. That's when we do our cooking. This is for teams that don't have any talent like the Vikings, and they got to go try and sign other people who don't manage their cap well. We don't do that. We draft well, and we pay our own players. We paid Glasgow. We're going to pay Sewell, St. Brown, Goff, Laporta, Gibbs, Hutchinson, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch. We're going to pay the dudes we already have. So we don't need to do that. Yes, sir. What's your question?
Well, this is what they do in church. You know, they raise their hands so they can get a
sure.
See what?
Well,
you're ignoring the elephant in the room.
What is this elephant you're referring to?
Your
I thought James, did I answer your
dummy
question?
Coach. They were beating San Francisco in that first half. Okay, they must have got 150 yards on the ground in the first half. They had a big lead by almost 3 touchdowns, and he gets in the field goal range and he goes for it.
See, that's a fallacy. That's what people who don't understand football say.
But then
because they called the right play. They called the right play. They executed it, and the player dropped the pass. If Josh Reynolds catches the football, it's first down. We score and win the game.
If the dog hadn't stopped the doo-doo, he'd have caught the rabbit. I mean,
I don't know what dogs and rabbits have to do with this.
Hold on, you guys, because Mr. Scott, it's your turn now because we're going to talk about your Vikings. The Vikings have signed quarterback Sam Darnold to a contract worth up to $10 million. You you signed Aaron Jones to a 1-year contract for $7 million. So, Mr. Scott, what's your team going to look like this coming season with the Packers supposedly getting better, the Lions talking about going back to the Super Bowl?
No, they're not worried about that.
Fourth place is the short answer. I'll do it for him. Stu can tell you the Vikings are finishing in 4th place in the NFC North. You don't even take any time. Ask Sue.
No,
Dave, leave the podcast. Go ask Sue what she thinks of the Vikings. I'd rather hear what Sue has to say.
Hold on now, because you remember the Bears are also in that division.
Bears got better.
Oh my
Bears got better. And they got draft choices.
Okay, Mr. Scott, come on. Talk about we talk about
the Bears even going to keep their quarterback. You know, I think Fields is a good quarterback, but they keep trying to run him out of town. So I mean,
maybe they'll run him into Minnesota.
Well, you know, Sam Darnold, I have no idea. You know, the big thing here is, are they going to be able to keep Jefferson? Because now with what's his name, you know, gone to Atlanta, the banker is gone, and so is he going to want to just start over with just somebody as a quarterback? And I don't know that they, you know, it sounds like he's turned down a contract recently. You know, he should have signed before he got hurt. That's what he really should have done. So they had his bag, get some guaranteed money. So, yeah, the Vikings, you know, but, you know, we still got the Lions and the Bears and the Packers in our division. So it's still
the team that beat you twice on their way to the NFC Championship game.
Well,
that Lions team that beat you 3 of the last 4 times you played. That Lions team
off the Lions for just generations. I mean, really? That's 2 games we can count. We knew those were 2 games.
You didn't count them last year. You didn't count them 2 years ago. We beaten you 3 of the last 4 times. Just trade Jefferson, because that's what you're going to have to do, because he's not re-signing, and start your rebuild. Suck for 3 years and start your rebuild. That's what you need.
You know, and I hate to say, I might even have to agree with Demetrius on that.
Oh, my goodness.
That's really a reach for me. It's a very big reach.
We're actually way more closely aligned than he wants to admit. We're actually way more aligned than he wants to admit. That's a smart move. Trade Jefferson, get a bunch of draft picks, and start your rebuild. You'll be back in 3 years. Yeah. It doesn't take that long in this league.
Trade up, get a young quarterback, one of these top somehow. Yeah, I'd like to see that. But once they got rid of Cousins, he like I said, the banker wants to get the bag. That's what he does. That's what he does.
All he does.
Yeah.
He cashes checks. That's what Kirk does. Kirk Cousins for a living. What's your job? I cash checks.
He's successful at it. You definitely have to give him that.
Oh, yeah,
Michigan State education,
other
man.
Quarterback's got to get his agent's number.
Go to Michigan State, man. That kid knows what he's doing.
So far, everybody has the number, but nobody's been able to get the bank.
Yeah. Cousins owns the bank.
Dave, you know, I hate to say I told you so, but we got Russ Wilson, and we got him on a $1.2 million deal. Denver's paying the other $38 million or whatever it is. And we also signed linebacker Patrick Queen. He signed for 3 years, $41 million. We traded Deontay Johnson, another thing that I've been saying. But Dave, you did bring up a point about can Pickens be a number 1? But we got Deontay Jackson, and we exchanged picks. I was all for the Russell Wilson deal, as everybody knows. Didn't think too much about Deontay Johnson. I thought his presence in the locker room was a cancer. And cornerback is a spot that we need filling. It's not saying that Deontay's the answer, but maybe he can be a stopgap or a number 2. And I think we made out pretty good. I think it improves our chances of not only having a winning season, but actually maybe going to the second step in the playoffs. But
good 3 days in Latrobe. Good 3 days. I think you guys are still in Latrobe. I don't know.
That's where their training camp is.
Yeah. Good 3 days in Latrobe, I think. Yeah.
But
since college.
Dave, talk to me.
Yeah, well, you know, the first thing I want to mention is the difference between Omar Khan and Kevin Colbert. And Omar Khan was mentored by Kevin Colbert. He worked for him for like 20 years in Pittsburgh. But Kevin Colbert was a guy and a great general manager, but he's what I call a belt and suspenders guy. is, if they had a hole at linebacker, they were going to draft a linebacker, they were going to sign a free agent linebacker, on the lower end of the scale. And they would not release their linebackers until they had kind of filled that hole at training camp. He never wanted to leave a hole. Now, what Omar Khan did that's much, much different than what Kevin Colbert ever did is right at the beginning, as soon as the season ended, he released 3 players, and the next day he released the 4th player. And he created holes in the roster. He released Presley Harvin, the punter. He released Cole, the center, the starting center. And now it was good for them because now they can look for teams early, but that created a hole. What he was doing was forcing change. Now they haven't addressed center. They're probably going to address that in the draft. And the other thing I'd like to say, so that's the difference between Omar and Kevin Colbert. And everybody was worried once they signed Russell Wilson, not because Russell Wilson, but are they going to do anything else in free agency? And I will say, I've said consistently, I've never been impressed with Russell Wilson. I just think that he's been over amped, even when he was in Seattle. But for $1.2 million,
right? You love him.
Why not? I mean, he's definitely going to be an upgrade over Mitch Trubisky, and he probably will be the starter. I would imagine. I can't wait until camp to see Pickett and Wilson throwing the ball side by side. I love doing that, just to see who has the zip on the ball, and that's a very physical thing that you can see. I think it's a great signing. Russell Wilson, and they'll pick up a couple other quarterbacks, but on the lower end, so they'll go into camp with 4. The blockbuster was signing Patrick Queen from the Ravens. Now, during Patrick Queen's rookie year, Mike Tomlin told him, "You're not a Raven,
right?
You're not a Raven," and Patrick Queen kind of took offense to that. Well, I mean, Mike Tomlin proved it. You're not a Raven, not anymore. Now he's a Pittsburgh Steeler. And so, and that's this 3-year, $41 million deal. That's the biggest free agent signing by the Steelers ever. So again, uncharacteristic. This is not a Kevin Colbert managed team. This is an Omar Khan managed team. So I think and that's plugging a big hole because we had all the injuries to the linebackers that we picked up last year. Maybe Quan Alexander will be back, but I don't know how he'll be coming back from injury. Now with the trade, again, my position on Deontay Johnson was that I didn't think that they were going to trade him because I felt that he was too important to the team, and that he actually helps George Pickens.
Yeah.
But with this trade, the question is talent-wise, is Dante Jackson as good a cornerback as Deontay Johnson was a wide receiver? Because essentially they just swapped draft picks. Yeah, right. I think the Steelers got a 6th-round draft pick, and they gave up their 7th-round draft pick. But if Dante Jackson, if he proves to be a reliable starter outside of Joey Porter Jr., and he makes some splash plays, well, then that to me that will justify the trade. That will prove the pudding. There have been the rumors about the reports of Deontay Johnson being an issue. He had an altercation with Mitch Trubisky at halftime the one time, and one with Minkah Fitzpatrick. But he's also 5th all-time in receptions for the Steelers in their 90-plus year history. He's the number 5 receiver for the number of receptions that he's caught in franchise history. I think that he was a valuable guy. I think he was a passionate guy, and then that worked against him. So they're going to have to address wide receiver now. That all of a sudden it bumps up wide receiver in importance. Are they going to draft a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds? Before this, I didn't think they would. I thought that they would draft a wide receiver, but not high. but they may have to. So, and then also, there's some interest in people like Tyler Boyd, who's from Pittsburgh, and there's been some talks there. But we'll see. So I think that the offseason moves, Pittsburgh fans should be very, very excited. I think they made some major league moves, and I don't know how they compare with the rest of the league, but I got to give Amar an A on this, and Mike Tomlin, because they said that in his talks with Russell Wilson, they met for like 6 hours, and they really came together. Mind sync. The last thing I'll mention, a little bit of irony. A couple of you guys may remember a couple of years ago. This is before Sean Payton. The Broncos, there was a big ballyhoo about Russell Wilson getting a private office in the Broncos offices. Remember that?
Right. Yeah.
The irony is that the Steelers gave Kenny Pickett his own office up by the coach's room. And, that's not going to create an issue because he was using it to watch film and all this kind of stuff. And I believe that the Steelers actually initiated it, the thing. But to me, there's a little bit of irony in there. Is like a couple seasons ago, there was this big issue. And to me, that was the team throwing Russell Wilson under the bus. Because who else is going to report that? Who else knows about who has offices in the team's space? Because usually you don't have reporters running around up there. So I just found that a little bit ironic. So does that answer the mail there, James?
Yeah. Certainly does. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see who the Steelers bring in as a wide receiver. I think they'll probably draft a center first and then a wide receiver second, but we'll see. But
when you're a team, you have to relate to all of your people. I mean, I really believe that the quarterback is the leader. And I don't care, the last guy on the bench may have to get in there one day. He might have to get in and do something for somebody that got hurt. Oh, but I have an office up here. This is the last guy on the bench. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't subscribe to that. I mean, this is a team. I don't care if you make more money than I do. That doesn't matter anything. When we're going into the same battle together, and you never know who's going to do it. So those kind of things, to me, I frown on it. I really do.
Well, Ike Taylor once told a story to get an idea of the Pittsburgh facility. Yeah. The way it's run. Ike Taylor told a story the one time he snuck into an office and took a nap. He was in Dan Rooney's office on the couch, fell asleep. Dan Rooney came in and he got up, and Dan Rooney said, no, you're tired. Stay down. And then went out the office and let him take a nap. Yeah. Ike Taylor just told that story a few weeks ago. Yeah. And that's it's a different vibe, right?
The thing of it is that most of us, we're still living back in the days when football was football, and you really don't think about, whether or not, how many times did, Jim Brown go in, the office and take a nap? How many plays off did Art, Rooney? Excuse me.
Art Shell?
No, Cat Cabbage from the Giants. I'm talking about some of the older guys. How many plays did Johnny Unitas take off? I think who was it? Who was it? Fran Tarkenton played until I got old. Jesus. So those days are kind of over with. But guys, let's get our final thoughts in here. Dave, you want to start?
Sure. I mentioned last week I went to the Big Ten Wrestling Championships, and I just want to mention two wrestlers at different stages in their career. The first guy, both Penn State wrestlers, Mitchell Messenbrink, he was losing his match. He's a freshman. He was losing his match to a Wisconsin wrestler, and he was down 9-3. He's a very aggressive guy. He likes to shoot. I wish Bill was on here. He was a college wrestler. No, he was losing 9-3. He came back and won at the end of the third round to defeat his opponent. Now, in his interview, he was basically saying, they were asking him about it. Does this validate you? You're a freshman. You're now a champion. You beat this guy that was experienced. And he was like, hey, it was fun. That's what's exciting. Just keep getting better. And then he repeated, because they kept on asking him about validation. And he said, a win doesn't, I don't need that for validation. What's more important is to learn and adjust. The NCAAs are coming up. And I'm not attaching value or validation to winning for me or the outcomes. It's how do you adjust and improve? And that was from a freshman wrestler, which I was really impressed. The second guy I would like to highlight is Carter Starace from Erie, PA. Now, he's a 3-time NCAA champion. Going into the Big Tens, he was undefeated, and he was getting ready to set history. He hurt his knee in the last match of the regular season, but he was ready. His whole family came down from Pennsylvania down to the University of Maryland. He was ready to wrestle. And now you can get, for the NCAAs, which is the week after next, you can get out at large bids, but you lose your seating. Your seating goes down, so it makes it tougher. Well, what happened is Cale Sanderson forced him to medically forfeit the 2 matches. So not only did his undefeated streak go, because those medical forfeits caused losses, but he couldn't wrestle in the Big Tens. He couldn't get another championship there. And he got very upset, left the team, drove back to Penn State, sent out a tweet, that he was, basically done. Now, he was just interviewed today. And Cale Sanderson explained that, hey, it is what it is. I had to make a decision, and Carter's Carter. He wants to compete, but I made the decision. Carter Starace was interviewed today saying he will wrestle in the NCAAs. He said his coach was in a no-win situation. On the one hand, if Cale Sanderson had let him wrestle, then he ran the risk of being injured, since he had just injured his knee just about 10 days ago. And he says, but if he didn't let me wrestle, I was going to be pissed off at him. And that's what happened. So my coach was in a no-win situation. And he says that he deeply appreciates Cale Sanderson for looking out for him, not only as a wrestler, but as a man. And Carter Starace did get his at-large bid, and he said that he would wrestle all 33 matches. There'll be 32. They wrestle pigtails, so there's 34 wrestlers. He said he would wrestle 33 matches just to beat each one of them in turn if he had to. But to me, so he's a 3-time NCAA champion. And for me, when I see some of these professional players, when they carpet, hey, they didn't let me play, they didn't let me do this, and it's all about him. He's a young man, he's only like 22, 23, but the maturity in his approach, I think, was very good. And he did lose his temper. He did leave the team, but he took accountability.
Yeah.
And he also understood where his coach was coming from. He was mature enough to look at both sides. This is why I was angry, but I understand, where the coach was coming from, and I deeply appreciate the coach looking out for my best interests. So those are my final thoughts. Just 2 young men that I thought really, really exemplified what sports should be all about.
Demetrius, my man, your final thoughts.
Yeah, thanks. I often rail on the NFL, and I think for a legitimate reason. I've railed on officials. I've railed on games being played overseas in Frankfurt, Germany. I've railed on their streaming games on every platform and doing every money grab they can do. But I want to give them credit tonight. The moving the NFL draft around to different cities is brilliant, and it is impactful, right? It obviously matters more to me this year, because of where it is. But when you bring an event of that scale, of that type, to a city, the economic impact of that to that city sometimes just flies under the radar. There will likely be in those 3 days somewhere between 250 and 300,000 people in the city of Detroit, right? There are 6 NFL cities within 300 miles of Detroit. People can come into this, and it's set up very well. And so that impact, not just the economics, but the things that'll happen in downtown Detroit will give the country, a lot of people, an opportunity to see the best of the city. And trust me, the mayor of Detroit, Mike Duggan, and the people in Detroit are taking this seriously. We have since the announcement came 2 years ago. You're going to see, God willing on the weather, right? You're going to see the best of my town that weekend. And if you study economics, the initial $100 to $150 million of direct spending that's going to happen in that weekend is significant. But there is a second and third cycle of that money that gets spent. Businesses, people that are in, it will showcase the city. It will help them sell the city to other events. This is not a small thing, the NFL draft being in my town. It is a big deal. And I just want to give kudos to the league for whoever figured that out. I think Cleveland got it once, Kansas City probably last year, or Nashville or somewhere. The impact on these cities of these events, and I think we are a little bit unique in that we have 6 NFL teams within 300 miles because people can drive into this thing, right? It's going to be a big deal. It is a big deal. And as much as I rail on a lot of stuff with NFL, they don't give a damn about player safety. Right? I can do that all night. This is something they've gotten right, something that is a big deal. And obviously this year, my brother's flying in. I'm gonna have a family group there. The Lions will probably trade out of the first round, so we'll probably be more focused on Friday than Thursday. But it's a big deal, and kudos to the league for figuring that out and moving this thing around and giving their cities, especially one like Detroit. It's a big deal for you. Some other cities, it wouldn't be a big deal. It's a big deal in Detroit, right? And I'm excited about it. We're very excited about it. It's great for the city. I think it's good for the league. I think it's gonna be a big weekend. It's gonna be fun.
Mr. Scott, take us home.
Well, just briefly, I happened to be talking to my brother the other day, and I mean, he can remember games. I mean, what happened in the games? What happened and we were talking about the Vikings Super Bowls and how, Hank Stram, the Kansas City, they thought they was going to win that. They were big favorites, and they just got blown off the field. And then when they got down to Pittsburgh, they all thought they were going to win. That they said, we're going to get this one. They all flew up there to the game. Flew down. I think it was, can't remember.
Tulane. I think it was at Tulane.
I think it was in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah. And so they all flew down there. They thought they had it. And Chuck and my brother was like, well, Chuck Knowles said, we got to just do one thing. We got to double team Ellen Page. If we stop him, we stop the whole thing. And that's what they did. Vikings got I think it was only 16-6 or something like that. It was a very
first score was a safety, I think.
Yep. Yes. It was a very low scoring defensive game. And, my brother just points out that how these coaches, then we lost to Miami. And Larry Zonka just pounded the hell out of the Vikings. Right in the middle of the defense, just pounded that. Shula just pounded the ball out. And we just were talking about how these coaches, when you really look at, and then Madden beat us with the Oakland. I mean, you look at the names of these coaches, Stram matriculating down the just with his little program.
65 power trap, 65 toss power trap.
And so we were just, kind of reminiscing about how those things and the coaches and the strategy of those games just seemed to really be more, there was strategy in the Detroit game. Like I was telling, Demetrius, if your coach had known how to do strategy, if he kicked those field goals, you guys would have went to the Super Bowl. But we were just having a discussion about, as a matter of fact, maybe one week I'll see if my brother can come over because he's really, I don't know how he remembers all this stuff. all the teams, all the things. Oakland A's. Oh yeah, Dick Green, Joe Rudy. Oh, Sal Bando, Reggie Jackson. The catfish winner. You guys go all over all of these things.
Ask Bill.
Right. I just think of the passion thing. I'm sure there's stuff Dave can pull something out of the vault from.
Well, my brother was a baseball player. He played at Alabama State.
Oh yeah.
And so when his coach had been in the Negro Leagues, Harold Hot Dog Wheeler, and they have actually named the stadium. They built a new stadium, named it after Herbert Wheeler. The coach.
Where's that at? In Minnesota or where?
No. This is Montgomery.
Yeah, in Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama. Alabama State is where he played, and one of the people that lived in Alabama in Montgomery would come and have batting practice with him. And I could play with the team. I could put a glove on, get out there. But it was Oscar Gamble. I don't know if anybody remembers.
Oh, yes.
Sounds familiar.
Ball player.
Demetrius is here. What do you mean?
Come on. Oscar Gamble. Absolutely.
Big natural.
Yep.
And he would come and just work out with the team. Yeah. And he had a club downtown. And we'd go downtown. We could drink for free.
That's awesome.
So I was just talking to my brother, about those kind of things.
Yeah, it's
that's really nice.
It's amazing the memories that you built up over the years. But hey, guys, have a good night. Appreciate everybody. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Mr. Scott, has it stopped snowing up there yet?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's been
man.
50, 60
exactly.
It's been this is unbelievable. I don't know what's happening. I mean, is this the end of the world or what? Because this is ridiculous. I haven't picked up one shovel.
It's been beautiful in the Midwest.
I don't know how it's been in Detroit. Have they had any snow there?
It's been a mild winter all through the Midwest, and it's been very little. Yeah,
Pittsburgh is a little cold. It's been mild everywhere, but out here in California, out here we have rain. We got Martians that are setting the forests on fire and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, guys.
One quick point, if I can jump one last thing in. Mr. Scott was talking about Oscar Gamble and David when he said big natural. I don't know if you knew what he meant. He meant his afro.
Right.
Google Oscar Gamble in his Cleveland Indian days, because Mr. Scott is not joking. That dude had a sweet fro. Google Oscar Gamble.
He played in Philadelphia for a while.
He did. And even in his Cleveland Indian days, I remember the fro
was the point in you braiding your hair.
Right. So it was superb.
I think I had his baseball card back in the day.
Yeah. And most of it was probably fro, because Big Natural was perfect. That should have been his nickname, because that dude carried a really nice head.
Oh, but he had a big stick too.
He did. He could play.
Oh yeah. He had a big stick, boy. When we were out there at the batting practice, man, he's throwing some ropes out there.
Yeah, I know you tried to stay under 2 hours, James. Good luck with that.
Hey, no, we were doing that for Dave and for some of the other guys that have to go to work in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm retired. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, at least Demetrius didn't run. At least he didn't run for me. I won't chase. I got a real
job. I got a real job. James knows this. We talk about this all the time. I am usually on an airplane on Wednesday, going somewhere or coming back from somewhere. That's the day. And I was Wednesday or Thursday, but no, anytime I'm available and I'm at home today, I'm on. I don't run. I didn't run when we sucked. We're good now. I got no reason to run. 2 years ago when we sucked, I was showing up. I'm not running now. I got a lot to say.
Oh, Mr. Scott, I gotta ask you one thing before we get off the air.
Yeah.
What's happening with Cat and the
Timberwolves, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Cat's out. He's going to be out.
Is he going to be out for the rest of the year or what?
Well, we think he's going to come back for the playoffs. But we got Ant-Man and we got Gobert doing his thing. He's making free throws now. Things are looking very good. Very good.
I like him. I like him.
We're up here. The Pistons are down there. Yep. So we're really all truth. We're doing.
I don't live in a fantasy world. That is a true statement. I'm thinking about the draft. He's thinking about the finals. I'm fine with that.
And guys, we have a G League team in the San Diego area. The Clippers are now playing in Oceanside at a brand new facility. So the Clippers moved out just to put the G League team in 15 miles away. But so we now have professional basketball back in San Diego area. So have a good weekend, guys. I'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Ciao.
Yeah. Don't run, Demetrius. Don't run. There's no sense of being, just.
I love this. I live for this. This is my favorite activity. And the truth is we agree like 80% of the time. That's the messed up part, is we're trying to promote this rivalry, and the unfortunate part is we actually agree most of the time. And I'm like, damn it, he's right again. Now I got to agree with him, because I want to come at you and then you say some really smart shit, and I'm like, okay, fine. Oh man,
I got to get you guys on one of those old baseball. We talk about baseball.
I love that.
Oh,
can't wait to do that.
Definitely. I was doing it because I'm a historian here. And I went through this thing where I had this meeting at a library about one of my books. And so one of the guys came in that wrote a book on baseball, black baseball in this area. He said, did you know Willie Mays lived right across the street from this library? I said, what? And so I picked up an article. And so, he lived right. Maybe it's like, I don't know, 7-8 blocks from me now. And he would walk to the ballpark every day. Wow. Every day. And he hit like 400 or something at the Minneapolis Millers.
That's awesome.
And then he went right up to Brooklyn. They called him right up after that first year. But he didn't have no car. He had to live with a family. It was very
That would be great, man. We should do a Negro League podcast. You know me, I got 8 Detroit Stars t-shirts. I love the old Negro Leagues. We could do a Negro League podcast.
And a lot of them played up here in Minneapois and St. Paul. There's the AAA. I mean, Ted Williams played up here. Karya Skripke played up here. Dandridge, Ray Dandridge, Roy Campanella played in St. Paul. There's just so many names.
I remember my first Cleveland Indians baseball game. My grandfather took me because Larry Doby was playing.
Yeah.
He was a big. I had one of them little bats about this big. It had Larry Doby. You remember how they used to have Mr. Scott? Them little, you go to the ball game, you get the little miniature bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every year I do a final thoughts on Larry Doby, because I've always felt like everything Jackie was going through in the National League, Larry Doby was going through in the American League. And we don't talk about him enough. No, I do like once a year. I do a Larry Doby final thoughts.
People don't want to realize, that at one time the head of the Ohio Ku Klux Klan was only 68 miles from Cleveland. It was in my hometown, Youngstown, Ohio. So it wasn't. Hey, we had sundown towns in Ohio. People don't want to believe it, but we had sundown towns in Ohio. Especially if it's close down to West Virginia, but you could be
close to West Virginia. Yeah.
Hey, you could be on the board of Indiana though. It wasn't just
that's true.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Next week, fellas.
And we'll discuss that Negro baseball show too.
Yeah.
I got to make sure it's a week when you're available, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, just let me know.
All right, you have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Yeah.